As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's bumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Oh, we are back. It's crunch time with Jeff and Booner and Lukas, which I'll get to. But it's Monday, July 7th. We're back from Labor Day weekend. One Labor Day weekend. Well, we got to get away. You know, we went to Mackinac. Got to check out Michigan.
Yeah.
One time out there. Got to check out Mackinac Island. Came back. Now it's back to the grind. That's what we're doing. We got training camp in a couple weeks. We got the Hall of Fame game. Tigers baseball. Pistons offseason. We'll talk about it all. But we are back. Extended weekend, which
it was a great weekend.
Yeah. You know?
I don't know about you, bro. I had a blast. We went to Mackinac City, the island. I will say this, Jeff. I thought about this last night when I got home. We did over under 1.5 arguments for the boys. The under hit. We had one. It was it was an explosive one. It was a big argument, but we had one. And yeah, it was a one good argument, but the whole weekend as a whole was good. Is your mic good, by the way? I know some people are saying, Jeff, your mic. Are you on the wrong mic already? Good start to the.
I am on the wrong.
Good start to post vacation. No, it was a good vacation though. A lot of things. I feel like we were off. So we were off for 4 days. There wasn't a bunch that happened, but not coming back today. It's just like, hey, there actually felt like we missed a lot. Tigers, All-Stars, Pistons. Really, I'm not going to say it, but I can't tell if it's a bag fumble. I don't know what's going on with the Pistons, and then obviously the Lions. We're only like 10 days away from training camp, so I'm juiced up to be back. I hate when like we just don't do shows and we miss out. And so for doing it for 4 days, it was good to shut the phone off. I really didn't do any socials either. If you notice, our socials were a little slower. I stepped away and just said I shut my phone off and just enjoyed the time away, honestly. But the under hit on their arguments. That was a good thing.
Well, hold on. All right. Sound better?
You sound like Jeff Iafrate.
Okay. All right.
It was the 4th as well, not Labor Day, Jeff. I think you said Labor Day.
4th of July.
You got that a little mixed up.
A little rusty coming off the extended weekend. Sorry, the mic. Yeah, this is all just feels like we haven't done a show in a year.
Can we shout out to Flannel said Mackinac Island is one of the greatest places on earth. Happy for you guys. I will tell you what, I don't think Jeff's ever been to Mackinac Island. That was like my 3rd time going. I said, Jeff, we got to get on there. We got to get the bikes. We did a bar crawl, which ended up it could go south. The bar crawl, it went south because, you know, there's 11, 12 bars there, 11, 12 drinks. You know, there's a lot going on. I'll say this, the day at the island, unbelievable. The bikes, like, dude, I think that's like a top 5 thing of all time to do is just ride bikes around that island and go hiking and do all that, bro. It's so beautiful there.
It was Michigan's a beautiful state, man. It is. It
really is.
If you really get to explore it, it's one of the more underrated states, I think, in the entire country. There's so much to do. There's so much to see, and we got to see it. I mean, you go Mackinac City's obviously a fun time. We got to see the fireworks out there, and then the island. Yeah, the island's just beautiful. It's like another country.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It was a lot of fun. It was nice.
What's the one country that doesn't have cars? I think is that Venice.
They don't have cars in Venice.
There's a country that you just can't have cars. You can only go on boat, I think, and you can only bike.
Oh no, there is no cars allowed in the historical center in Venice. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that's it. That's what it's like. That's what I think I told you when we arrived on the boat. I was like, it's like we're like in Venice right now. And you said, "Have you ever heard of Malibu?" That was so funny.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun. I'm definitely going to try and go there every year. It's nice. I mean, you just take a break from sports. You know what I mean? As much as we love sports, it's nice to take a little break.
Yeah.
You know, enjoy some of the off time. And then you get back, you're refreshed. And Klotz, by the way, Klotzy, before anyone asks questions, Klotz is going to be out the next probably just 2 weeks or so before people ask questions. He's just dealing with some personal things. I mean, he's a human being at the end of the day, so we're giving him all the free time he wants just to kind of we want Klotzy to get back to Klotzy, So he's not here. No, he hasn't left. He's not done with sports talk or anything like that, but he'll be back. So just want to clarify that as well. And don't do this. Can we not do this?
Yeah, I'm going to look right now. Dude,
Missionary War,
stuff, man.
by the way, appreciate the $2, but don't do that. Breaking line signed to Zadarius Smith. What are we doing? Really?
I'm going to look right now to see if it's true.
That's what I have to see when I get back on the show? Really? And you're going to lie to me?
By the way, can I throw something out there real quick? I'm sorry that I was going to see if the Zadarius Smith stuff was true. I know this is probably the most random thing of all time, Jeff, and I didn't get to tell you before the show. So I hit Riley Green over 21 and a half home runs for the season, correct? Like, we're not even at the All-Star break. He hit 22 yesterday. So when that cashed, I cashed out a lot of the money. I kept just a little bit in there. And I don't know if you knew this, but Wimbledon's on, Jeff. Tennis?
I do know. I do know Wimbledon.
Oh!
I don't watch it, but I know what it is.
I saw someone make a bet today or put out, hey, this underdog versus the number one ranked player in the world today. And I said, why is everyone taking this guy? There was a boost on FanDuel. I said, why is everyone taking this guy? I'm going to take him. I just hit a big future. I'm taking him with that future. His name's Grigor Dimitrov.
Sure.
I think I got him at like plus 600, plus 650 money line to win. He was up 2 full sets. All he needed was one more. It was like about to happen. I go back into my thing like an hour later thinking he won. I was like, there's no way he lost. Like he was winning by so much. It was voided. The guy got hurt in the middle of the match and he was about to win. 6-1, plus 600, Jeff. Plus 600. I think before it opened up, I got him at like mid-match. It was 16-1 at one point, plus 1,600. He was an underdog.
So now you're betting on tennis, is what you're saying.
Dude, it was the biggest winner of all time. It was huge. So yeah, that was it. I wanted to throw that there.
No, I mean, of course, we lost bets in Mackinac. That's part of the trip. So that had to happen. We lost on baseball, which was cool.
We did.
Javi Baez hit a home run, actually, like 30 minutes before the show started. So hit an absolute nuke. So shout out to Javi Baez. And ETN says he'd rather watch tennis than baseball. I
don't know. I watch baseball.
I respect it. Probably wouldn't agree with that one, but you know what? I respect that. I do. I
love a good tennis match, but baseball, the Tigers especially, love watching them.
I don't dive into the tennis world. I didn't even know who the hell you just said. I don't know who that is, but I trust it. Plus 650 or whatever it was. Cool. Didn't work. It is what it is. By the way, a lot of UFC fights I bet on. So
yeah, UFC kills us. Coach Walk said they'll probably give you your money back. I did get my money back, just so the people know. It was voided. They didn't have to void it because he lost because he got hurt. So I think he had to pull out. And he was literally about to win. Like, I think you have to win three sets or 3 matches. I don't know which one it is to win. He literally had 2. So the other guy had to win 3 straight, and the momentum was all on that guy. So, I did hit a Joey Chestnut bet. Oh, Jeff. Can we get this from the chat too? Okay, this is because now we're back. Welcome back, Jeff Iafrate. 4th of July. Can we all agree in the chat that Joey Chestnut is one of the greatest competitors of all time? Well, this wasn't one of the arguments. This really wasn't an argument. We had one.
I agreed. I mean, I didn't think.
Yeah, but I was, and I shout out Jake who went with us. I sat Jeff and Jake down and said, just watch greatness. Like, Jake was refusing to believe that Joey Chestnut was one of the greatest ever. And I sat him down, and I kid you not, when I looked at Jeff and Jake and Joey was about 50 something, their jaws were like, there's no way this guy's like dominating. I had bet plus 440 for him to win by 20 plus dogs. Like, ridiculous bet. Minus 20 and a half or 19 and a half.
I wasn't familiar. I was familiar, but I wasn't. I know who Joey Chestnut is. I know his legacy. But to watch that man eat glizzies on live television was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. I mean, you told me you bet on them to win by 20 dogs.
Yeah.
And then when we started seeing all the competitors come out and they got the T-shirts with like their career highs on them, and I started seeing 28, 32, 34, 25, 31, and then Joey comes out and the dude's got like 70 on his back. I'm like, okay, this is he's not even it's really not even about who's winning, it's who's coming in second. That's really
you're competing for
the
second.
guy's gonna dominate. He's that guy. Part of me was watching in disgust, but part of me was watching. I was impressed. I was like the guy. I mean,
he's done it for 20. He's done it for 17, 18 years. He just dominates every year.
I don't know how he does it. And then you told me about the big dude who drinks the lemonade. I didn't know.
I showed you that.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know there was a whole. In the attendance out there was insane, dude. Like everyone's wearing like I saw the sign Joey Chestnut have my kids, like have my children. Like this guy's an absolute icon.
He's a legend. He's an absolute. He's one of the greatest to ever do it. Like you put the names of like Michael. What is it?
Could you drink the Kool-Aid like that guy? The
lemonade guy? No. Dude, I'd say what the first Kool-Aid video I ever did 2 years ago. The whole point of the video at first was to drink the whole thing, and like it wasn't for me to like my original idea wasn't to dump it on myself. It was me to like actually drink the Kool-Aid. And I started drinking it. And you could probably go back and watch the original video. It was the Chiefs game. And I started drinking it. I started like drowning myself. Yeah, I was drowning myself. And I just dumped it. I couldn't breathe. I was dying, literally dying. And I ended up just dumping it on myself. Just because it was like I couldn't drink that. I could not do it. So shout out to that guy. And he did it in like 20 seconds. It was guy's an absolute machine, dude.
I don't. We only in America, baby. 4th of July.
Hey, it was a great 4th though, man.
Yeah, we show some dude drinking lemonade in 20 seconds. That's our 4th of July shenanigans. And a dude eating 70 glizzies. That is
it's the way to do it.
Yeah, it's the most American thing ever. I love it. I absolutely love it. So shout out to Joey Chestnut. That was interesting to see that in person. But since we are back, we had some time now to kind of digest the offseason a little bit. Not that it's done. There's still a lot more work to do for the Pistons.
Yep.
But there was a trade today. And involved in that was John Collins. He is now a Clipper. John? Love you, man. I tried. I gave it my all to try and get you. I really did. And the Clippers, the Heat, and the Jazz had a 3-team trade that sends Norman Powell to Miami, John Collins to LA. So Clippers got John Collins. He's on a 1 year left on his contract. And listen, I get people's concern with John Collins. Oh, he's not that guy. He puts up empty stats. Listen, man, looking at a guy that's given the NBA right now 20-8. All right, 39% from 3, 50+% from the field. It's like you can't look at that and not be like, that's kind of interesting. All right, that guy's probably pretty good. Now you can call me, you're not a ball knower. You don't know who John Collins really is. All this stuff. The Clippers obviously liked him. I think he's going to fit really well there with James Harden.
Yeah.
But the question really comes down to what the hell are the Pistons planning to do? Because they got this $14 million trade exemption. It's like the trade exemption where it's like the $14 million they can use in a trade to trade for someone. It's basically this thing. I don't know. You can use it to make a deal if you don't have enough. All this stuff, whatever. They have this $14 million, I guess, secret weapon that Trajan Langdon's holding on to.
Is that the TPE? What does that stand for? Trade. I saw it on.
So I'll kind of explain. So,
trade player exception. Okay.
It's basically, the best describe it, it's kind of like a credit
Like it's like a $14 million credit.
Oh,
So
okay.
like, you know how typically you're matching salaries?
You don't have to. You have a 14, almost, it's like
$14.
14.8. So you almost have 15 million to work with if you need to. So essentially, what I'm taking out of this is that they're going to make a trade, or else they wouldn't have done it. Because it sounded like they gave up a second round pick, and they're not getting anything in return besides the 15 or 14.8 million.
Yes, that is
okay.
correct.
So they're going to make a trade here in the next month. You would think
that's what any normal person would probably assume. Yes.
Okay.
That would probably a trade. Yeah. Now, what is that trade? I don't know. But I will say this: the offseason so far, you know, it hasn't been as exciting or filled with all these, you know, interesting moves. Listen, Duncan Robinson, he's a fine fit. You know, if Malik Beasley gets himself in all these issues off the court, then you kind of got to pivot and find someone that could shoot the ball. They did find that with Duncan Robinson. I think he's going to be a really good fit here. Karis LeVert, I like it. We both kind of talked about it. You know, he helps out on the bench. You know, he can get you. He can score the ball, and he's not a terrible shooter. The problem is they still need a 4. Bad, like really bad. They don't have that. So it's safe to assume they're not done. But man, like looking at what's been kind of going on right now. I mean, I just saw this video we posted on our Twitter of Jalen Duren shooting threes. I hope he can get it. I hope he takes his game to the next level, because it's looking like at this point, July 7th, we're banking on some big jumps right now. Okay. We're banking on Asar Thompson. We're banking on, Kate Cunningham always, but Jaden Ivey to come back and be even better. Of course, Jalen Duren. So that's Ron Holland, of course, another one, but that's kind of how it's looking. I mean, Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson are not going to be the two reasons you take a step forward. You know what I mean? They're going to help out. They're good bench pieces, but everything is basically going to ride on who you have young player wise. So that's what it looks like. I wish they would add one more piece. But at this point, man, it has been a little underwhelming, I will say.
Yeah.
Underwhelming for sure.
I mean, I would have to say the same thing. I literally, Jeff, we started at 8:00 at 8:14. The Pistons just announced, because I know a lot of people were wondering, hey, there hasn't been an official announcement from the Kings or the Pistons in regards to the sign and trade. They just put out 4 minutes ago that they have the Pistons didn't give up a second. They acquired a 2026 second round pick via sign and trade with the Sacramento Kings. So no Malik Monk, no players from the Kings. You're getting back a second round, and then obviously you're getting that $14 million TPE whole thing there too as well. Yeah, Jeff, this is my problem with it. I think it's like, and I hate to say it because I feel like this is like, you could say this with any team. It's like the same thing with the Lions with Za'Darius and like Alex Anzalone. I think it's just like, hey, you got to wait to see what the product is on opening night at the end of the day. And the reason I say that is because like you do have now this $14 million trade exception that you just kind of attached onto this whole off season, to where you're expecting them to make a trade, right? And that's, to me, that would be your power forward. That would be your 4-man, like that can stretch the ball, like making a trade. Jeff, I've been saying it, Lauri Markkanen, going out and just finding some 4-man who can stretch the floor with you. If you want it to be a 5, and I saw this today, I put it in the prep there, Nikola Vucevic from the Chicago Bulls, who has been kind of talked about coming to potentially in Detroit and linked to him as well. So like you just like finding the right fit, in my opinion, but I think you got to let this thing play out a little bit, because I still think they make a trade here for a 4-man, but I also think, and I've been saying this for a couple weeks now, Jeff, like I still think they go and get a backup point guard, like a veteran backup point guard. And if you add those two pieces, in my opinion, like, dude, this team, okay, now it's coming together. But the thing that's going to hurt me the worst, and I'm with you on this, to where if you end up going to the season with this exact roster right now and you're just banking on guys to really take a big step, that's what, in my opinion, like, yeah, some of these guys probably will take a step, but banking on it after just having the season you did, to where like, hey, you need to take a step forward, that shouldn't like get anyone like super excited at the end of the day. Like, you always want to be adding pieces and always want to be moving forward while also letting your young guys develop. You know, that's how I look at it. I think you could do both and find a mixture of both, instead of just being like, well, we're just all in on letting the young guys develop and we're not even going to worry about filling out the rest of the roster. Like that's to me what they can't do. And if they don't get a 4-man and they don't get a backup point guard, then that's to To me, that's right where you're at right now. Like you're asking for something to go wrong in development, and if that happens, you're screwed next year. And that's just what it is. Like if a player gets hurt, if one of your development guys you're expecting to step up, what if Jaden Ivey? People do this with Aiden Hutchinson. What if Jaden Ivey is a step slower, coming off a broken fibula?
Well,
you see what I'm saying? Like we
you're in a tough spot.
we both can go with that. And people say it about Hutch. Isn't Jaden Ivey's injury similar?
Oh, yeah, I mean he broke his leg. I mean,
yeah. So it's just what if that happens and you're relying on him and he comes back maybe a half a step slower and you're like, oh, that wasn't the Jaden Ivey from before. He's supposed to be our all-star, our second all-star on this team. That's a problem.
I mean, I'll throw this out there. I mentioned John Collins, and I know Shift God says we might be looking at Kevin Love, fellas. Well,
I don't think.
Yeah,
that would be something, man.
This is the player, though, and Shift God said it. I was going to bring it up, and I want to get your thoughts on this. John Collins is now over with. Okay, the player we are moving to is Dallas Mavericks forward PJ Washington.
Love it. I really like that.
That is where we're moving to. All right. So he's under contract right now, and this is where it gets kind of interesting. So he's making his cap hit for this season $14 million.
And
then he's an unrestricted free agent next season. PJ Washington would be the perfect 4 starter. Perfect.
Dude, imagine PJ Washington in this rotation.
Yeah, he's 26 years old. He fits the timeline. I mean, Eric actually mentioned that when he joined the show, and he mentioned how it just feels you want them to find guys that fit their timeline age-wise. If he's 26 years old, you look at what he's done in his career. He's never averaged less than 10 points per game. Last year for the Mavs, averaged almost 15 points, a block, and a steal a game. Gave him 8 rebounds, 38% from 3, 45 from the field. I mean, he's 6'6", but he plays bigger than what he is. I like him. I like PJ a lot. I think he'd complement perfectly. And he's a guy that in the postseason, his value goes up. You know,
I agree.
Because of what he can do on the floor defensively. I mean, he can guard multiple positions. So they got Cooper Flagg. You know, they got Kyrie coming back, but they got Cooper Flagg. They got Anthony Davis. They got Gafford. They got Klay Thompson. They got, other forwards as well that they've kind of collected over there. But PJ Washington, if they're not going to extend him, which I don't know if he's staying long term in Dallas, he's the guy you got to go get, man. He's the guy. I mean, he would be the next one we kind of pivot to.
Maybe you're on the same wavelength as me, Jeff. Like, I'm just at the point, and I could get all mad and worked up and whatever. Like, Trajan has to make another move. And the reason I'm not going to get mad and worked up about it is because I feel like he really, like, I truly believe that he's going to make another move, but he has to. And if he doesn't, then I'll get worked up, and then I'll make sure, I'm going to go off about it. But in my opinion, there's no like, hey, just sitting back the rest of the offseason and we're good to go. There has to be a move made. Go get PJ Washington. You have to add another piece to this team. As of right now, you did not take a step forward from last season, in my opinion, roster-wise. If you want, take away the Jaden Ivey thing, because he was always on your roster. But the Malik Beasley to Duncan, from the Karis LeVert to the Tim Hardaway and the Dennis Schroeder, it's you didn't get better. Like you didn't. I know some people will die on the hill. Oh, we did. No, you're just saying Duncan's better because he's on the roster now and Malik isn't. 2 weeks ago, everyone would say Malik Beasley's better. So like this roster, when it comes down to it, you didn't. That's why I'm giving Trajan the benefit of the doubt of saying, hey, I'll let the offseason play out before I really put my stamp on that. I will let it play out. But there has to be another move that gets made here in this offseason. It does. A stretch 4, get a boy want put in there, a backup point guard, one of the two, if not both. You need to get that done before the offseason's over.
I think the stretch 4, they need it bad. That's
the big one.
They do need. They need it
bad.
I
feel like that's the one that everyone's even talked about in the playoffs. Like that was a constant.
Yeah. I mean,
you need that, and you just do not have it.
It's not a crazy thing. I mean, go get PJ Washington. He fits perfectly. I mean, he's a great defender. He can shoot the ball. He's going to complement your star players already. He's played with great players. He just played with some really good players. But he can do that. And I don't think he would cost a lot of money either. And if you want to extend him, extend him. I think he'd be a perfect fit. He's young. If you want to pivot and trade for someone else, then do it. But it's not, there's a balance. I think people that are expecting him to be really active and make a bunch of moves, I don't think so. But this could be that move where, hey, PJ Washington's expiring, Tobias Harris is expiring. Maybe you look at it like, hey, next year, maybe we don't bring back Tobias, but we get PJ Washington. We can extend him. And people are mentioning Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is a stretch 4. But
yeah, I feel like he's played on the wing a lot.
But that's 1. Even if you want to say he's a 4 or he plays the 4 in modern NBA, that's 1. Who's your backup 4? Bobby Clinton?
The problem is,
and I love Bobby Clinton, but Isaiah Stewart?
So this is the problem that I have. When you talk about putting shooters and playmakers around Cade, like Asar's not out there knocking down shots for you, right? So if you already have a guy out there who can't really knock that down, you get into a position where it's like you already have one out there that they're going to be calling, hey, that's a dud. He's a dud on the court. That was what we used to call wing players that couldn't shoot. But then you kind of take a step forward and you're like, okay, now when the rotation starts can Stu really shoot like that? What does Stu shoot from 3?
No, not.
So, and I remember there was that moment that a couple of years ago where they were like, oh, Stu's a knockdown stretch now. Like, no, like that's something you can't rely on. And then there is Ron Holland. But to me, it's like you got to get a guy that's solidified in there to where you have Tobias out there that can shoot. Maybe Jaden Ivey who can shoot. You get yourself another 4 that can stretch, set a screen for Cade and be able to, pick a little pick and pop. And it doesn't have to be Tobias every single time. That's where it's like you need to take that step forward because right now it's really just Tobias Harris last year and Malik Beasley. And then obviously Tim Hardaway here and there. But if you add another piece, in my opinion, you just add another shooter on the floor. It takes it away from Cade, the defense on Cade. It changes everything. It really does.
Yeah, they have a good blend of different skill sets, but shooting they've added. But at the 4 spot, they don't have. I mean, they're 2 of their forwards that are going to play a lot of minutes aren't shooters. Ron Holland and Asar Thompson. So, Tobias Harris can. He could shoot the ball. I mean, you want to put Duncan at the wing, and I mean, he can play a little bit of that 3 in certain situations, but that's not really ideal. I mean, you want someone like a PJ Washington who can shoot, defend, guard multiple positions. So they do need to bring in another backup stretch 4. They just do. And I think Isaiah Stewart, his best role is a backup 5, and he could just stretch the floor.
Stu needs to shoot more. I mean, he can shoot. He can shoot all right. I mean, I can shoot. Just is it going in is the problem. Like he shot 32% from 3 last year. Go get yourself a stretch 4 that can shoot 40%, 39%.
I mean, yeah, that's
more consistent too.
I wouldn't say he shoots so well that you want him to shoot more.
No.
Yeah, if he has like 2 attempts a game, and his average is like 36%. You're on the season. You're like, maybe you should shoot like 1 or 2 more, dude. Like 32%. Like
I mean, he shot half a 3 a game basically, and shot 32%. I mean, if he was getting them up, he would be at like 25. If he was getting a couple up, like it would that drops at that point.
All right. Well, I do want to play this as well. Go on.
I just want to say real quick. I saw a video today about Malik Beasley, and it was Kendrick Perkins on. I think he was on the podcast, and I don't know if they do a podcast together, but with Richard Jefferson and Channing Frye, I know they do the road tripping one.
Yeah.
Is he on that with them full time, Kendrick? Or was he?
I don't know. He could be.
So I saw a clip of him today, and he said his sources tell him that the Malik Beasley stuff is worse than it's already out. Like it's way worse than people think. And then those guys, the road tripping guys, were like, yeah, if it's federal, it's. But then again, like Terry Rozier, I think was the federal, the FBI, and he got let go. But the fact that like a guy, Kendrick Perkins, who sometimes has crazy takes, and he has gotten NBA Sentinel before, the fact that he comes out though and says, hey, this is way more serious than what's getting put out there, like that. I don't know too what's going on because Malik Beasley's out there posting videos of him working out and stuff. That's where I'm like a little like, is this guy going through it? Is he not? Like he's going about it normally in his everyday life. He's posting pictures with his girl. He's him at the U getting shots up with his trainer. It's just like it's insane. That obviously he still has to work out, but he's just like on media still. And if it's that bad, like.
I know it lines up. If it's bad, if it's worse. I mean, I hate it. it like frustrates me to even keep like mentioning it because it sucks. He's a player he's a big player. He's a big
When I saw that video today, I was like, I thought maybe there's a chance that the Terry Rozier stuff happened, like how that like he gets let off.
Yeah, I mean, you can
When I
be
hear
hopeful.
Kendrick Perkins say it's worse than people think, that's when I'm like, oh, okay. This guy that's on ESPN that has sources that's saying it.
Yeah, and you have to let the investigation go through and, see what happens. But all I know is man's got to get his shit together, even besides the gambling on the games. I'm talking about just the debt. Like the not paying people back. Like there's a lot of shit. It's not my life. I don't give a damn, but I'm talking about it. So, but it's like, come on, Beasley. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? You got people, especially your professional athlete. You got fans that are relying on you. They're fired up about you. You're an important player.
The problem is when you get investigated for that, right? Like the Terry stuff, it could come back negative. Like, hey, we investigated. You're good. It's not a good look when you are getting investigated. And one of the signs of being like, hey, we need to figure out, did this guy need the money? Is this true? Like the fact that he came out and it was like, no, he owes a bunch of people money. He has millions of dollars of lawsuits. He's gone through all the fact that came out to me. That's where it's like, that's just not a good look because it shows that he's, I don't want to say desperate, but like he needs to pay people back. So like when the FBI starts investigating it, they're like, does he have a motive? Maybe Terry Rozier did not have a motive. It didn't owe anyone money. But then when you look at the Malik Beasley case, you're like, oh, he has a motive. He owes a bunch of people money and he has all these lawsuits and he has no funds. So it's like, there's your motive. Now, is there evidence that he did it? And then you start looking at all those videos of him that came out of him just like not playing defense, him trying to score the ball with like a second left to get the spread. Like,
what makes you question everything?
Yes, everything starts to add up, and you're like, whoa.
I'm telling you, even teammates. Like, if I'm a teammate of Malik Beasley's, I'm going, how do I know you weren't bullshitting, bro?
Yeah. I said it, the Cade catch, the playoffs, game 7. Like the ball's in his hands, and we didn't see him all year drop a pass like that. And then all of a sudden, game 7, ball right in his hands, just drops it. I'm not saying anything allegedly.
Yeah, I'm not saying he did it purposely. But what I'm saying is, since these things have came out, you have to at least be like, if it's true, if he's found guilty, you gotta be like, bro, like, we were in the trench together, and you're fucking, you're selling your soul, basically. I mean, what are we doing? That's like,
it's just not looking good for the man.
It's a bad look for the league. That's why they don't play with it. They don't.
Well, he'll be if it comes back and it's legit, he's gonna probably be kicked out. And I mean, you can go to the Jonte Porter stuff. Is that who it was, John? In the video I saw, those guys were like, it's worse than the Porter stuff. And these are Richard Jefferson. Like these are like, oh my gosh, I was taken aback. I was like, oh man, I thought maybe this thing would blow over. It would be negative. Nope.
See, that's.
I don't know. I got to go watch the episode to see it. I don't want to. It was just a clip that I saw that got posted. So maybe it got.
But I guess that comes with sports betting, man. It's the risk. It starts creeping into professional athletes. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be as small as J-Mo betting in a hotel room.
Yeah.
Or wherever, and he gets banned for half the season or whatever, 6 games. But then it gets to the next level where it's betting on your own sport, and that's
why
guys got suspended in the NFL because of that. Like, it's a bad. You don't want to mess with that, Then you're losing basically an entire future in a league where very, very few people even get to play in it, let alone stay in it. And you get to stay in it for that long, and you fucking do that.
60 million you've made. You're about to make another 40. Like, that's why I hate, dude. And I don't know where, I can't even remember where you stand on the topic. I just hate when we had the conversation about a year or two ago, when the gambling stuff with J-Mo was coming out, and that conversation led to people being like, they should allow players to be able to bet on themselves in a positive aspect to where they can't. No, like, and this is a serious conversation going around. No one should ever be able to bet, whether it's on your win, nothing. Like, I know Nolan Ryan was the guy who got in trouble for it, but he bet on them to win and they won. All of that. You should not be able to bet on anything. Like, it's too slippery of a slope. It's just everything. Like, okay, you want to bet on yourself to win, or you want to bet on your over props for your rushing yards. Guess what you're going to do? Like, if you're a quarterback, you want to bet on your passing yards. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to try and affect the game to get your passing instead of actually trying to win. Like, there's just, to me, it's just like, you do not allow it at all. Like, it is a hard no. And there were a lot of people who were like, well, you need to, people on radio, like, oh, you need to let them just bet on themselves. Just don't let them bet against themselves, because that's the problem. No, you don't even open the door.
That's a very dumb argument.
Don't even open the door, man.
You're opening that Pandora's box, man.
Pete Rose, sorry, not Nolan Ryan. Shout out Nolan Ryan. I didn't mean to disgrace his name. Pete Rose, sorry. Thank you, Coach Walker. I'm not that old.
That's where it gets messy. If you start betting on yourself in a positive light, then it gets into like you said, passing yards or receiving yards or spread. We're going to beat this team by 14, and then you're up by 7 with 4 minutes left and you have the ball. You're like, we should probably score again here, right? It's like you just start getting, gambling is addicting. I understand it. Booner understands it because we gamble and we lose. Now we're smart with it.
Yeah.
But we understand that it's tempting. It's fun. And that's why you can't let guys that dictate the outcome of games do it at all. At all. Because no, you can't. It's just, you make millions of dollars, man. The people that are betting that are normal, like that are, normal blue collar or just middle class or even lower class, you're doing it to make money because you need it. All right. These people that are fucking rich athletes, you don't need it. Don't bet. You make millions. Enjoy your millions. Invest your millions.
Yeah.
Do something with it.
Dude, if I had millions, I would bet. I would. I want to do it in a sense to where it's, dude, I'm in a spot. Like,
yeah, it's more just having like your fun at that point. Like Dave Ford really drops this like $2 million bet, but it's like the guy he's fine. Like he can do it. But if he was betting to a point to where he needed the money to live, and he's out here like reaching out to athletes to throw games and do different things, so he was able to win those. That's where you get into trouble. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. I mean, when you're broke, man, you get desperate. And I don't know Malik Beasley's situation. I'm not saying he's broke at all. I don't know. He could have a lot of money. He just doesn't pay anyone back for whatever reason. But what I'm saying is, if he was having money troubles or is, then, sad, like he might force you to do things that you typically would not do, like try and bet on yourself and make money through gambling to pay back debts. Okay. Again, not the case, as of my knowledge. Very well could be the case. We'll see how it kind of goes there. But yeah, that's a whole thing. We'll see how I hope we find out answers in the near future. I know it'll take a while. There's a whole investigation, but I want to see what happens with this. At least more information, That's really it. All right, I want to play this. Mark Schlereth talked about Dan Campbell. And they basically discussed it on Breakfast Ball, which is a show on FS1. And the topic was, expect the Lions to take a step back this season, ? And they talked about the Lions taking a step back with the new coordinator. So here's Mark Schlereth, the legend. He'd be great to get on the show, by the way.
We should. That would be sick.
Dude, he's very, very smart. Talked about Dan Campbell and why people might be sleeping on what he does offensively. Let's take a listen to Mark Schlereth here. So here's the thing. Very simple question. Are we underestimating Dan Campbell's involvement or his impact on offense? And are we worrying too much about John Morton? Because I will say this about Dan Campbell. All right. And I think I've been pretty consistent about this. I think Dan Campbell is an offensive-minded guy. He's a former tight end. I think the meathead thing is probably worn out at this point. I don't even want to go there and be like, he's not a meathead. Everyone understands that. He's a very smart dude. Offensive-minded. I think Dan knows his strengths and weaknesses like every good leader does. And Dan understands, I'm an offensive mind, but I don't want to be a play caller. It's not really my, some coaches would like to take it. Ben Johnson's he is the play caller in Chicago. Sean McVay is the play caller. Andy Reid is, Kyle Shanahan is, all that stuff. There's plenty more. Dan Campbell's a little different. He wants to be the CEO. He wants to be involved on both sides of the ball, having his input. And I guess the best description of it or the best example I've used is the painting example, where it's like he tells his OC, who's the Van Gogh, what to paint. You know, he tells them this is what I want it to look like. And Ben Johnson just happened to be just masterclass painter. So you got to see it like, oh, this is amazing, but it's Dan's like imagery or Dan's idea. That's where I think where I'm at is the tough part about this conversation is when Ben's here, we can say that. When Ben leaves, especially to the Bears, it turns into this conversation of, it was all Dan. It wasn't even Ben. It was all Dan. It wasn't even Ben. They're going to be fine. It was all Dan. It wasn't Ben. Now that Ben's gone. But those same people, when John Morton steps in, and hypothetically, in an imaginary land, if John Morton doesn't work out, what are those people going to say? John Morton's an idiot.
It's not Dan. It's John
not
Morton.
Dan. It's John Morton. He's the idiot. That's my problem is if we're going to do that, we got to be consistent with it too. So that's where I'm at. I don't want to discount Dan. I think he's going to be in the room with John, just like John was here with Ben, and they're going to be on the same page. And Dan's going to say, "Hey, John, remember we did this? You remember we like this? Or we see that? Yeah, okay." And then they do it, and I think it'll be fine. But please, can we refrain from the glaze? Like Dan is this Andy Reid clone, in John Morton's. If it works, Dan Campbell gets all the credit, but if it doesn't, John Morton's to blame. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so I don't think Mark Schler is wrong by any means, but it isn't all Dan.
I will say this.
Come on.
And you know what, Jeff? And you can, I want you to hold me accountable if you think anything I say is wrong here.
Okay, go ahead.
I feel like I have been personally, especially in kind of the fan base of the more optimistic side of things over the last 2 or 3 years. I have been very consistent on both Ben Johnson being able to be, and I've always said it, I think he was one of the best OCs in the game over the last 2 years. And I've said that a million times. But on the opposite side of that, and this is where you can hold me accountable, because I know I've been saying this for years now, is I have also given Dan Campbell, and I have stuck up for Dan Campbell for people who tried to say Dan Campbell doesn't get it, or Dan Campbell doesn't have an imprint. This is all Ben Johnson. Because I think this thing goes, it's a miracle round or whatever those things are called, merry-go-rounds or whatever. Yep. Miracle round sounds sick. But it's one of those where it's like people are going to have their side and they're not going to budge at all, and they're just going to sit. I'm a Ben Johnson guy. I'm a Dan Campbell guy. No one's budging. Listen, why can't it be both? I truly believe this. And the only argument that people have is, the Anthony Lynn thing. The Anthony Lynn thing, and I'll say this, Jeff, and this is where you could say, hey, Booner, that was bad. That was Dan Campbell's first year on the job. And with that, we have said it a million times. If we're going to use the Anthony Lynn example, let's hold each other accountable and be consistent. That was one of the worst rosters in NFL history that they took over that year.
Yeah, no, it was.
So you could say Anthony Lynn, you could say all that. Yeah, I agree. He was bad. But Dan in the room, and Anthony Lynn's a good friend of Dan Campbell's, for Dan to step up and say this is not working. Like, it's not the fact that Dan wasn't the offensive mastermind. None of that. Dan hired one of his friends to be an OC and quickly realized, hey, this isn't how I want to run my offense. And you know who stepped up and said something? Dan Campbell did. And Dan Campbell said, we're going our different ways. He didn't instantly say, hey, Ben, this is your offense. Dan stepped in and slowly, again, with a not so great roster, slowly started to kind of implement his own offensive ways and verbs and strategies. And that offseason, they bring Ben and they say, Ben, you're the new OC. And that offseason, they sit down with Jared Goff and Dan Campbell and guess who else? John Morton. And they sit down and they go, okay, let's build an offense. And it wasn't just Ben Johnson in there being like, this is what we're doing. No. This was Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell, John Morton, and Jared Goff. So I got in this argument in a different YouTube chat of people being like, it's 100% or it's 75% Dan Campbell's offense, 10% Ben Johnson's. No. Let's call it what it is. These guys sat in a room in that offseason, and they all had a hand in making this offense. And you know what I would say, Jeff? 25% across the board. All four of those guys, including Jared Goff, deserve 25%. They all sat in there and they implemented it. Now, the one thing I'm going to give Ben Johnson very good credit as is he got very good at play calling and knowing when to call certain plays. And he did have his lumps. He had his down the stretch last year. We know that. Third downs were a little questionable at times and some of the play calls. But he also he was very good in certain moments at play calling and knowing what the roster he had, what he was able to do. But people will also forget, Jeff, that there was a press conference over the last year when they asked Dan Campbell, how much are you involved in this offense? And they asked Ben the same question. And what did they both come out and say? Dan Campbell at the start of every single week writes his game plan for the offense, puts his game plan together, puts everything that he wants his offense to be doing that week versus that opponent. And he hands it to Ben Johnson and says, this is what I want. And Ben Johnson puts his little touch to it and changes things up. And then he's the play caller. But this thing comes from from Dan Campbell. Like, and I get it, Jeff. I'm not going to take away from Ben at all because you know how I feel about Ben Johnson. But I think with how good the offense was the last 2 years, I think a lot of the credit always does go to the OC if the head coach is not calling plays. Where I think in this case, it's Dan Campbell. It's a Dan Campbell offense, and we've seen it continuously. That's where I think I'm a little bit more optimistic than most people like Klotz and other people who think that John Morton taking this over, it's going to be a step back. Like, is it a step back? Sure. They might go from number 1 offense to number 4. This offense isn't going to take a step back like people think. Like, it really isn't. You have 3 out of the 4 guys that were in that room and built this offense still. 3 out of the 4, Jeff. You had 3 out of the 4 last year as well. Except you just now have John Morton. And yeah, John Morton can mess play calling up, but I think this team is just so good to where even if he does, this team's going to overcome it at the end of the day. Like, you're just so talented. And if he starts messing something, you know who's going to step in and say something? You know who's not afraid to say something? Dan Campbell. It's his offense. He's not going to allow John Morton to come in here and tear down this offense after what they've built the last 2 or 3 years. If it starts happening in training camp, I wouldn't be shocked if Dan's like, I'm calling plays. Like, I wouldn't. Like, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just saying, like, in my opinion, like, I think Dan doesn't care. Like, he just wants to win. And if he realizes or sees a little bit of a slight, like, this is going to be bad, Dan's stepping in. Like, and that's where I think people need to kind of take a step back and not worry as much.
Yeah, I think what you said is fair. There's really nothing I would disagree with what you said. I just wanted to make that clear because, you know, it really comes down to that. It's like head coach, especially if he's a really good head coach like Dan Campbell, he gets all the credit. And of course he deserves blame. If like as a head coach, you get both. But what I mean when it comes to offense, that's where I think he gets more credit and they just put the blame on OCs. Like, I think ETN said something earlier. And he said, you know, people will go after Ben Johnson for all these missed calls or calls no one agrees with, but no one looks at Dan Campbell. It's like, I'm not trying to take away anything from Dan. I think Dan's a bright offensive guy. I just think he knows his strengths. He's like, hey, I want to call plays. That's not what I want to do. You know, I want to be involved, but I don't want to call them. And that's okay. Like, Dan's a leader. And by being a leader, you have to make very tough decisions. And he did that. You know, like he got rid of Anthony Lynn. He had no problem.
To be honest, can I be honest with you, though? I think of Dan Campbell, and he just never got a shot because he went straight from essentially tight ends coach to interim and then all of a sudden a head coach with the Lions. I think Dan Campbell, if he had an opportunity to be an OC somewhere, he would have killed it. Like he would have. I think he would have been one of the top 10 OC in the NFL. I really do. I think there's most of these game plans and stuff is a Dan Campbell with the twist of Ben Johnson instead of Ben Johnson with the twist of Dan Campbell. I think it's the other way around. I hope that's not taken away from the Ben Johnsons. Like, I'm not the guy that's sitting here shooting Ben down and trying to discredit what he did. But just like you said, hey, if the offense is bad, it's the OC's issue, right? And the OC gets fired. Okay, if it's good, the OC is always going to get the credit. And even if the head coach has something to do with that. Like, no one talks about the offense with Nick Sirianni and the Eagles. Like, you guys question it. What is Nick Sirianni doing?
Yeah, and like if there's offensive problems.
But we know Nick Sirianni has a big part of that offense. But no one talks about it because he's not the one calling plays. Andy Reid, the people talk about it, he's calling plays. If Dan, I truly believe if Dan Campbell was an OC or a play caller in the NFL, he'd be one of the best in the NFL. I just don't think people want to admit that because Ben Johnson was so good as well. Both can be true. Both can be true. If he wouldn't have been Jeff, one of
the best. But
come on now.
If that is true,
come on now.
Why not just call plays?
He doesn't want he wants to be able to oversee everything. It's tough, man. And I respect that. That's fine. And again, like that's the thing where if John Morton doesn't work out, guess who's calling plays for the Lions? It's going to be Dan Campbell. Like I personally would rather my head coach be focused on the whole team than just play calling. Personally. But like let's not act like Dan Campbell if he took over an offense. Again, Jeff, you just agreed with me that this was a Dan Campbell offense that he handed to Ben Johnson every week and said, this is our game plan. This is what I want to do. This is my offense. This is my offense. This is what we want to do. You're telling me that he can't take that offense from the last 2 years that he created, that's his offense, and he can't go out there and call plays? Come on now.
Yeah, but because the what I would say to that would be there are guys in the NFL that work in all those offensive rooms, like assistants. I'm not saying Dan's like an assistant, but there's guys that are really good at like game planning and, hey, this is what we should be doing, but they're not calling plays.
I agree, but Dan called it in the second half of the first year, and that was when they did start winning.
They did. I mean, I'm not saying he'd be a bad play caller. I just don't.
That was his job alone, where he didn't have to focus on defense, special teams, offense. If he was strictly OC in the NFL, Dan would be a hell of an OC in the NFL. This is
like Sean McVay, Andy Reid.
This is that conversation where people look at Dan as a meathead. And people just want to be like, oh, Ben was the OC, but people want to forget who helped create that offense and who is the one that gives Ben Johnson the game plans every Monday morning. That is Dan Campbell. That is his offense. It's not John Morton's offense. It's not Kelvin Shepard's offense. This isn't Brad Holmes' offense. This isn't Sheila Hamp from the top saying, I want to run this. This is Dan Campbell is the leader of that of that team, and he is an offensive-minded head coach. And it literally came out that Ben literally says, Dan hands me the game plan every Monday morning. He hands it to me. Ben doesn't go in his room on Sunday night and type in, here's our game plan versus the Dallas Cowboys. That's not Dan. No, Ben didn't do. Dan Campbell did that every single week for this team. You have to give him credit for it. You do.
I'm giving him credit. I think there's.
Now there are parts that are Ben Johnson's offense, like some of the trick plays.
About the Ben versus Dan. We're kind of over the Ben versus Dan. I'm just talking about Dan here at this point. I'm just maybe trying to shift the gear back a little bit. You know, it's like a great. Could he be a good play caller? Yeah, but it's like
he would be a top 10 play caller in the NFL. You don't, as a head coach, as an offensive-minded head coach, you don't put out. You do not put out 3 out of the 4 years a top 5 offense. 3 out of the 4 years in your organization as an offensive-minded head coach. If you don't know what you're doing offensively, whether you have Ben Johnson or not,
I don't think he doesn't. It's not that I don't think he knows what he's doing. I think he does. I think he's a smart guy offensively. We're talking about play calling. Like if he's that good, just call plays.
But he doesn't want to. He wants to make sure the whole team's good.
That's like okay. I mean, I don't want to say that.
Andy Reid. I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong here, but like a lot of these guys that call plays, Jeff, and I said it at the beginning of this whole argument. A lot of these guys that call plays, they were OCs before they became head coaches. Dan Campbell was never an OC.
Yes, exactly. That's not his like forte.
I guess Andy Reid was never an OC. He just took over and he was a head coach. I don't know if he called plays in Philly though, to be honest.
I think he did.
I wonder if there was a point, honestly, and I would love to hear this. I wonder if there was a point when Andy Reid started with the Eagles where he didn't call plays and he got to a point to where he switched to do it. Because I wouldn't be shocked if Dan Campbell at one point it's like,
I would love to see that.
Give me the Rays.
I would love to see it. It's like,
dude,
but you do realize how that comes off a little bit. It's like, yeah, he's never called. It's like
I agree. I agree. I just think offensively, again, if this is his offense and he's the one making the game plans and doing that, I get calling plays and all that's different. You would have to think the guy knows what he's doing. He's literally building this offense every week and handing game plans over. You can't tell me that he wouldn't be able to run an offense. Come on now. What are we talking about here?
I'm trying to think like a good example. I don't even know if this is that.
I don't think there is one because it's not true. Like you're wrong.
It'd be like there's guys out in Nashville that write songs for country singers and they're bangers. Like the people written songs for Morgan Wallen. It's like you could be in like, this guy could be Morgan Wallen if you wanted to. It's like, no, there's a reason why he gives the lyrics to Morgan Wallen. You know what I mean? Like the guy.
That's actually a great.
Is that not fair? Like it's like me going, nah, man, my boy, he wrote last night for Morgan Wallen, but if he sung it himself, Boone, this guy would be a star. It's like, no, dude, Morgan Wallen's supposed to sing that shit. You know.
To be fair, a lot of Morgan Wallen songs are written by Hardy. Shout out Hardy and Ernest. They also both have bangers of their own.
Okay, all right, that's fair. But my point being is, Dan is like that's like the offense. He's a smart guy. Maybe he just thinks.
I see what you're saying. I just okay. Let's erase that point because this is an irrelevant argument. If Dan Campbell would be a good OC in the NFL, I generally think. But I just think there is a part where like Ben Johnson, as much as we all love him, and Jeff, you're a big Ben Johnson guy. I think there's a side on both, and I'm kind of a neutral. I'm like a neutral mediator here. I think you might sometimes give Ben Johnson too much credit because you don't like the fact that people don't give him enough credit, if that makes sense. And that's where I think both sides need to. I think you like both sides, the people who love Dan, people and you who love Ben. Both of you guys are sitting here trying to be like, I'm trying to balance it, and you guys are like pulling too hard apart. And it's like, all right, middle ground, because. All right, you're like, oh, well, Ben Johnson with his trick plays. Okay, well, I'll go pull the clip of Ben Johnson sitting in a press conference being like, I don't make the trick plays. I have a group of 3 or 4 coaches under me who develop every single trick play that we run. That's not me. So if you want to say, well, Ben Johnson's designing all these awesome trick plays, he told you himself, Jeff, he doesn't design them. They're not his trick plays. So it's like, let's just start being consistent on both sides of it. You know what I mean? That's all I ask. And I'll sit here and pull it, but like give Dan his credit and his flowers. Let's not act like this offense is going to go outside the top 10. Shout out Klotz, but like Klotz like sits here and be like, well, they're going to be so bad. They're not going to come close to a Super Bowl. What are we doing?
Well,
like
Ben Burns. Shout out Ben Burns, man. Appreciate you watching. He says tons of Ghost Riders become huge stars. Sam Hunt wrote for half of Nashville before he broke through.
Thank you, Ben. Have you ever heard of Ernest? Have you not heard of Ernest?
Yes.
Ernest is like one of the greatest in Nashville right now. He's wrote for every country, and he has like bangers his own. Hardy is massive, and he writes for Morgan Wallen for the last 10 years.
Yeah, maybe that Nashville one got a little tricky in the weeds there. But
yeah, once I actually thought about it, at first I was like, good one. And then I thought about it. I was like, wait a minute. Ernest? Like, what are we talking about?
Ernest? Come on. What are we talking
But it's the same thing like that. Your example you use, it's the same thing for Ben. Like, go ahead. If you want to give Ben all the credit in the world, Jeff, I'll let you. But I want you to know all of those things that you talk about with, his trick plays. He's good. He has his own little people working for him that he came out and literally said himself, I don't draw these plays up. I don't do it.
I'm not.
I don't do it. I have who's the assistant? JT Barrett's doing them for me, actually. So, Jeff, do you think JT Barrett's the best OC in the NFL because he's drawn all of Ben's plays up?
No, I don't.
Okay, so that's where my point is. Let's all take a step back.
And I'm not saying again. I want to make this very clear. I'm not giving all of it to Ben Johnson. Like I'm not like I stated at the very beginning. Like Dan Campbell deserves a lot of credit. It's just the play calling thing we kind of got into a little back and forth about. But whatever, doesn't matter. We'll see. Maybe Dan eventually takes it over. Okay, maybe that could happen. He should. Like Ben said, Sam Hunt. You know, hey, Ernest.
Ben Johnson becomes Sam Hunt and Ernest.
Yeah. I mean, you never know.
Well, you know what? Morgan Wallen has the Grammys. Sam Hunt and Ernest, I don't know. Maybe Sam Hunt, but Ernest, I don't know if he does. Oh, maybe he does for writing music. I guess if you're the writer, you get it as well. Okay.
That's fair. Well, hey, ESPN came out there. I love these lists. One of my favorite things in the offseason, the executives, coaches, and what is it? Last one? Executives, coaches, and scouts. Rank NFL top 10 running backs. They do these for different positions. I love it because some people that vote on this list are stupid. So we're going to look at this list and react to it and give our thoughts.
Start from the bottom?
Yes, we could start from the bottom. And it shows, so on the list, it does, we'll look at the honorable mentions first, and then we'll go up.
See that.
It shows highest ranking and lowest ranking among those who voted. That's where I have fun. because you get to see where people put lowest and the highest.
Yep.
So let's see the list. All right. So honorable mentions, guys that didn't make the list. Bucky Irving, Aaron Jones.
Should be on the list.
Bucky. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Bucky is. I feel like people underestimate how good Bucky Irving really is.
Brees Hall. That's crazy.
Remember, Klotz had Devon A-Chain on his top 10. Remember this argument
James
we had?
Conner. And then Kyron Williams not on this list is kind of crazy too, in my opinion. But Dave Montgomery got some votes. He didn't make it though. DeAndre Swift's on this list too. Oh, that's kind of crazy. Kenneth Walker. Yeah, Brian Robinson.
Can I say something real quick? K9, Kenneth Walker. Very underwhelming NFL career so far.
I
right?
agree. Yeah,
very underwhelming.
He's just been injured. It just hasn't really.
When he plays, like he had a moment where he was like really good, but it's just, dude, he is. It's been under. I don't know, man. Very underwhelming. But Bucky Irving should be top 10 for sure. That's I think I know Klotz had Kyron and Devon A-Chain. I think Bucky is the one that needs to be in there.
Kyron should be top 10. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, Kyron and Bucky, they need to be replaced on this list.
Klotz, would love this one.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara.
Which he shouldn't be on that list with some of the guys left off.
I just don't think at this point, are people going to draft him in fantasy? Yes. Yes. But like look at the thing though. Like last year's ranking, honorable mention.
And then this year, what did he have a better year? No.
I think he went. I mean,
he had a year like he did last year and the year before.
Yeah, because he had let me see, just to make sure.
Why wouldn't Kyron Williams be in this spot over Alvin Kamara?
Yeah, he had 900 yards in 14 games. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, he would have went over 1,000, but
that's where this argument with Klotz to me kind of I take the veer in a different road. Is I think Alvin is still good, but if you have Alvin at 10, if these guys have him at 10 on this list, and you have Kyron Williams and Bucky Irving off the list, Alvin Kamara should not be on the list. Like he shouldn't be close to top 10. Those guys should right now, like it feels like the name, Alvin Kamara's name puts him at 10 for some of these people.
I agree. I agree with that. He's at 10. Above him is Joe Mixon. Highest ranking 5.
Wow.
Lowest ranking unranked. That's the most confusing ranking. Some dude who voted had him at 5. Another guy had him unranked. So
he did have a good year, especially think about that old line that they had there that they had to basically just completely restructure.
I think he's top 10.
I
think he's top 10. I don't really care where you put him. 9's fine with me. Last year was honorable mention. He had a better year. I know he kind of fell off. He had a hot start, a really hot start. But yeah, he's 9. And then the number 8 comes in at James Cook. Highest ranking for James Cook, 4th. Lowest ranking, unranked. He was an honorable mention last year, and someone unranked him. What? Who's voting?
I mean, what are we doing? James
20 TDs?
Dude, 20 TDs.
And he was unranked by someone. Someone had him unranked.
What if Klotz has like a vote and he's just unranking some of these guys? So Kamara.
Yeah, I mean, it says right here. The guy, he's now tied with O.J. Simpson.
That's crazy.
For the most receiving touchdowns in a single season in Bills history. And the guy was even mentioned as unranked. Who's voting for this shit? Highest ranking 4. I mean, that's a little high, but 8. I don't hate 8. I think that's probably right around the range. You want to move him up or down, whatever. But yeah, I mean, what?
That's a crazy. I think he's in a good spot. Unranked is ridiculous. I think I've been saying this for a while, Jeff. I don't know where you're at with it. I think James Cook's one of the more underrated running backs in the NFL.
Yeah, he's really underrated, man. They don't use him as much because, Josh Allen can run.
Think if he didn't have Josh Allen and he was
like, Josh Allen's going to run for 800 yards a year. Yeah. So it's like for James Cook to get 1,600 rushing yards, it's just like not going to happen. You know what I mean? He's got 800 of it going to Josh Allen.
The fact that he had 16 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns with Josh Allen on his team that also gets an insane amount of touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. Like, look at what Saquon. Like, Saquon had some taken away because Jalen Hurts had so many. And the fact that James Cook still had 20 total touchdowns or whatever it was is ridiculous.
Well, that's
he's still young, man.
Yeah, like Dad with Tourette's says he was 26 total yards. You can't see like that guy's like he was 20th in carries. So he was 20th in carries and he averaged 5 yards a carry. Like he barely got put him on a team that uses running backs. What are we talking about here? Like the man went over 1,000 yards and only had 200 carries. He only had more. Think about this. He only had 20 carries in a game, 2 times, including the postseason.
That's nuts, dude.
He gets like he had games where he had 10, 11, 6, 9, 10, 12, 9. It's like he's getting like it's I don't know. It's just not.
I mean,
involve him. They obviously he's an excellent player, but it's not like he's getting a bunch of touches.
Put it in perspective, Jeff. This guy had 200 carries this season. Saquon Barkley had 145 more. Derrick Henry had 325, 100 plus more. Jonathan Taylor had over 300. Bijan over 300. Kyron over 300. Josh Jacobs over 300. Like a lot of these players had over 300. He's at 204. 100 less carries than all these guys.
Yeah.
Over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, I agree with that. I see this one too. Is Bucky's better than all three of those guys?
Yeah, you can argue that.
I think you can make an argument for Bucky at any of these spots. Yeah, Bucky's really good, man. All right. Number 7, Jonathan Taylor. Highest ranking 2, lowest ranking unranked. That's another one. What the hell are we doing?
He should be on every top 10 list. I think Jonathan Taylor, because of his injuries, has been overlooked. Dude is very good though.
With just absolutely terrible quarterback play. Let's not forget that. I mean, the guy ran for 1,400 yards this year. He had 1,400.
I didn't even know he had 1,400. Like that's the quietest 1,400.
1,400 yards, almost 5 yards a carry, and they have no quarterback. Like he's incredible. I think John Taylor's excellent. I mean, his second season in the league, he rushed for 1,800 yards. Like, I
feel like you should still make an argument he's top 5 just based off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You probably could.
The situation and his injuries.
Like last year, he was 5 and had 700 yards in 10 games.
Yeah.
And he played in 14 and had 1,400 yards.
That's crazy.
So
I think people overlook him.
He probably would have had 1,700 fucking yards. I mean, 1,700 yards.
He's legit. He's fun to watch too. I always get him on my fantasy team just because, like, anytime he is healthy, he is putting up numbers, no matter what.
Yeah, no, he is.
He's just that good.
Number 6, Josh Jacobs. Highest ranking 3, lowest ranking 10. He's definitely a top 10 running back. 1,300 rushing yards, 15 TDs. He actually, I'm going to be honest, like I had mixed emotions on Josh Jacobs. I thought he was a really good back. I just wasn't sure what that first year in Green Bay was going to look like. They paid him obviously a good amount of money, but he was their best. It's
a great addition to
they relied on him a lot. I mean, he was really good for them. So
I think it was might have been. Did they play on Christmas? Was it the Christmas game?
They might have, yeah.
I think it was either Christmas or Thanksgiving game where they had the Packers had nothing. And Josh Jacobs single-handed. I've never seen. I guess I've seen it, but like in football, it's a team game. It was one of the moments in my like career since watching like football as like a career of like actually seeing a player just take control of a game and single-handedly keep a team in the game. I think they might have lost, but this guy, every single possession, it was only him. Like they had nothing else. I've never seen a team rely on a running back as bad. I think it might have been Thanksgiving. I see Ben Blue saying Thanksgiving. It was one of the more ridiculous. And in that moment, I was like, Josh Jacobs is legit. Like he deserves all the credit. It was nuts, man.
Yeah, he all respect to Josh Jacobs. I mean, I think he's probably fair around this spot. 5, Christian McCaffrey.
Fair.
He was the number 1 back last year. Highest ranking 3rd, lowest ranking unranked. I don't know. It's probably because he didn't play. I don't know why you wouldn't rank him. These people that rank these guys unranked need to just have their vote taken away. That's ridiculous.
I agree. They're executives though. They'll never.
Yeah, that's just insane. That's insane.
I think that. Would you agree, Jeff? Like Christian McCaffrey, it feels like it's like the biggest question mark I've ever seen on a player going into a season. Ever.
You just never know what you're going to get. You could either get 1,600 yards, almost 2,000 plus all purpose, or you just get 5 games. It's just like
double tendonitis though. It's like, what do you? Hopefully he's good.
He had the Achilles thing was bothering him. Like he's just had a lot of stuff going on. So that's he's 29 years old. I mean,
but a lot of people are right. If he is healthy, he's definitely top. He's up there. He's easily, without a doubt, top 5.
Number 4, Bijan Robinson. Highest ranking 1, lowest ranking unranked.
Had to have been a Falcons executive. It was for sure. Falcons
Yeah,
executive.
I mean, guys. I mean, if I love Bijan. I think he's really good. He averaged almost 5 yards a carry last year too. Had almost 2,000 yards from scrimmage. But number one back, come on, man. Like, come on, man.
I'll probably put Bijan at 5.
And
I thought CMC.
I would take Bijan over CMC right now.
If they're both healthy.
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing. I guess you have to factor.
I just caveat: say they're both healthy. Who are you taking? Like you're getting a full season out of both of them. Who are you taking? I would go CMC so fast.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with that. It's close.
I don't think so, dude. Healthy CMC. Remember what he did 2 years ago? Offensive player.
Yeah.
He was like one of those guys. It was like he scored a touchdown no matter what every game, double some games, and it was just like he was just taking it to the house every time. Like Bijan, he has big playability, but you have never seen him get into the tier of CMC. Never. Like with other guys like Jameer, you've seen it. Like take it to the house, take it to the house. Like you're like, whoa, what's happening? CMC,
I would say he's in front of Bijan. I don't think it's a drastic. I think it's like if you want to do tiers, he's in the next tier. And then you want to do CMC in a tier above, whatever. But it's not. I don't know. Bijan's a 1,500-yard back, and he can get you 500 yards receiving. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's not like he's never. I don't know if it'll be 1,000 like Christian McCaffrey was when he back in the heyday. But yeah, they're ranking him obviously because of health, and he's above him because of that. And last year he had a good year. Christian McCaffrey got injured, so I guess whatever. That's how they're doing it. Whoever ranked him unranked, again, this guy's
that's crazy, man. That's
so we have Derrick Henry, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Saquon Barkley left. And coming in at number 3, Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr freaking Gibbs. Number 3.
Wow.
Lowest ranking 9.
Whoever did that is.
I mean, like 9. Highest ranking 2. Last year's ranking, it was 8, and it says here. Wait, let me see this bottom part. He's a lot like Reggie Bush, just with a little more power. An AFC executive said size will always be a little bit of an issue for him, but his speed and instincts and ability to change the game are a problem and maybe the best in the league. Some evaluators agree Gibbs is best utilized as a 1-2 combo like he is in Detroit with David Montgomery. As the AFC executive put it, Gibbs can serve as the primary back, but might wear down faster if asked to absorb too many hits between the tackles due to his size, but he runs with toughness, so it's not like he wouldn't be up for the challenge. And Gibbs did just fine in 3 games on Montgomery last season, totaling 365 yards on 64 carries. I mean, we're talking about that's like 5 a carry, man. I mean, that's pretty fucking good too. But yeah, 5'9", 200 pounds. Previous line to lead the NFL in scrimmage scores, Barry Sanders with 17 in 1991.
Yeah, I think this is where he should be. I think 3 is fine. I think like I actually put the tweet out earlier today that I think Bijan or Jahmyr, I think Jahmyr is the best playmaker in the NFL right now. I put that out this morning on our Twitter. I was like, this has got to be the best playmaker in the NFL. Like some of the plays he makes.
Really?
I mean, what?
Over Saquon Barkley?
Playmaker. I think it's different.
Barkley?
I think it's different. I think Jahmyr.
Saquon Barkley.
Okay, I'll give you Saquon.
Then after
it's
that,
on our Twitter. It's locked in. It's on our Twitter. I can't go back on it now.
Okay. Besides,
I would give you Saquon. I would think Jahmyr. You could argue number 2 in running.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll give you that.
And I'm guessing, and we could look at the next. I'm guessing. I haven't seen the full list. Actually, I did. I tweeted it out, so I just lied. That's on me. But Derrick Henry next. I'm guessing, and Saquon 1. So.
Yeah, I mean they have Derrick Henry. Whoever ranked him 6 is an idiot.
Which Derrick, dude. You got to respect the guy, man. He's been doing it for so long.
830 yards after contact is fucking insane.
And I was told, again, remember, I've been told for the last 2 years, not by you, I'm just saying for the last 2 seasons, and you know me, I've been a big King Henry fan. I've been like, outside of Baltimore, probably the biggest Derrick Henry fan. I've been saying this guy's not going to slow down. Everyone keeps telling me year after year, it's his year to slow down. He's slowing down. Even when he has 12 games he plays in, the man still rushes for over 1,000. It's ridiculous. He's insane. And then Saquon, obviously, there's really nothing to say about him. Saquon. If he's healthy, he's different, man.
Yeah, I mean, it says 2,500 rushing yards and 7 scrimmage touchdowns of 60-plus yards. Playmaker are the most in a season in NFL history. That's crazy. Reaching at least 20 miles per hour on 9 touchdown scores. No other player had more than 2. I mean, he's in his own case. He's in his own case.
He's different, bro.
But yeah, I would give you that though. Like besides Saquon, I think you can say Jahmyr Gibbs best playmaker in the league.
Because Derrick Henry's like a pure just running back. Like between the tackles, I'm going to destroy you. And yeah. Can I have a running back take that you will not like? But can I throw it out there real quick and just to get a feel on it before I officially lock it in as a real take?
Yeah.
I don't want this to lock in as a real take. What I'm doing is, like comedians. You did it sometime. I'm not going to give the joke away, but let's throw out some. I'm doing it live on air. I just want to throw out this take, get a feel for it, dip my toes in the water. How does it feel?
Fine. That's fine. The chat's here. We're here for you.
And then we'll redo it just like we're like a comedian, just trying to get some jokes down. You know how it is, Jeff. Like, just test the waters.
No, I get it. Yeah, no, I get it. I understand it.
I think there's a world right now that we're starting to see a turn in the running backs to where let's say this, your elite running backs, the Saquons, the Derrick Henrys, the Jahmyr Gibbs, the Bijans.
Yep.
I think in the past 20, 30 years, you have had the conversation and people have it all the time. You're going to run that running back into the ground. You're going to run him into the ground. You're going to run him into the ground. I think that generation's over. I don't think you can run a running back fully into the ground anymore. I think with the science and recovery and all of those different things that they have in football and in sports now and sports medicine, I think and even with how good some other running backs are, look at what the Lions are doing with Jahmyr Gibbs, how cautious they're being to where give him David Montgomery and make sure that his health is good and just let that guy go for the next 15 years. Look at Saquon, and I'm not saying players won't get hurt. I'm not saying guys won't get hurt because Saquon's been hurt. But I think typically when players get hurt, like Saquon, like look at Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell gets hurt, career's over. You look at guys like Saquon, gets hurt multiple times, hamstrings, this, that. What did he just do last year? After all these injuries his whole career, what did he do? Tell me. What did he do? Say it. I'm asking you a question. And he had an Offensive Player of the Year, almost an MVP. You saw Derrick Henry get hurt. What did Derrick Henry do? He bounces back 1,900 yards again. You've seen CMC hurt in Carolina. What does he do to the 49ers? Offensive Player of the Year. I think there's a world to where you're able to I'm not saying you can't fully run the players into the ground. You can do that. But my point is I think in today's world, it's no longer, hey, guy's career's over. I think if you are good enough, if you have the skills like Saquon, CMC, Derrick Henry, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan, I think those elite guys, I think even if you run them into the ground, they get hurt. I think they're just so good. And the science that you have now to heal some of these guys, I think they can come back and be close to what they were before. And we saw it with Saquon. We saw it with all those ankles and hamstring injuries.
I think.
And ACL. I think he did his ACL too.
I think what helps is modern medicine.
That's my point. That's literally my only argument is I think it's different than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. Completely different.
Yes. I think, I don't completely agree, but I understand your point.
And I think it only gets better, Jeff. I said people use it as a what is it called? Like a kickstand, like a
they use so modern medicine is going to help extend careers in general. So running backs, it's going to help, but I think the reality is there are exceptions to every rule. Okay. And we all know that there's always an exception to a rule. And I think if you believe your running back is an exception, then you believe he's an exception. You're like, that's okay.
I want you just to not listen to that part you just said and just think about the first part because that's all I'm saying. I get what you're saying on that, but the first part is that's my only. That's that I said we're spitballing. We're working on this one. That was the only part in my mind. It popped in my head today. Shout out the heavies. I was watching the heavies, and I heard Spenny be like, "Well, you can't just run. You're gonna run players into the ground, and it light bulb. But you can't you can run players into the ground. I feel like it's easier to maintain and stretch careers of great running backs in today's world, in today's football.
It comes down to a couple things. Obviously, modern medicine helps, but the other thing is how you train. And obviously, Saquon Barkley is a specimen when it comes to what he does training wise.
Yep,
Derrick Henry, that dude is a different animal when it comes to what he does training wise. Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm sure he's the same thing. I'm sure he's that good for a reason. He works his ass off. But then you have Christian McCaffrey, who is a training animal, modern medicine. Can't stay healthy. Just, it happens. It's really just like, I know this isn't the answer everyone's looking for, but it's just like luck. Like, I don't know. It's luck mixed in with other things. Like Christian McCaffrey's just unlucky, man. He's just dealing with shit all the time. And that's where it gets tricky. If you have signs early where it's like, this guy's always getting hurt, you probably don't want to extend that guy. You don't. And if you think
my point with the, I would say my point with this is just like typically in the past, like when running backs, especially when you have that many carries, like look at what's his name in LA, the Rams, Todd Gurley retires. Like typically it was like, hey, you're just done. Like running backs or teams don't want you. When you're, in my opinion, like with CMC, JT put it in the chat. Great point. Like when CMC has a good year, the next year he's like missing it most of the season, so you can run them in the ground. My point is you can get those players back and they still play at that level. Zeke, but in my opinion, Ezekiel Elliott didn't have the skill set of CMC and Bijan and Saquon and Jahmyr. Like that he wasn't that type of player. He was between the tackle. He was good, but he wasn't like CMC or he didn't have that skill set. He was a dog, yes, but was he like that type of player? No.
Early
that.
On, he was, and then I think that it's just things happen. I mean, injuries.
I just think with some of these greats, you see what I'm saying here. I think it's starting to trend. I think it's starting to trend towards if you have a player like that, you're going to be able to sustain him for a longer career. Now, will he miss a couple seasons because of injuries? Yes, but his play isn't going to decline because of those injuries like it used to in the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah, like remember Adrian Peterson tore his ACL and ran for 2,000. I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen. Guys are able to recover. It's just that's why running backs very. It's tough, man. People think I hate running backs. It's just a tough position to evaluate in terms of like longevity.
I just want you to admit that once you get to a certain level as a running back, there are just like you just said about 5 minutes ago.
But Christian McCaffrey, he got to that level. He's not the exception.
He should be. He should have been. He was for the 49ers. The 49ers paid him, and what'd they do? Went to a Super Bowl.
1 year. 1 year.
Yeah, but that was, come on now. You got to be able to Jahmyr gets that exception. You don't let Jahmyr Gibbs walk. Look at the Giants when they what happened when the Giants let Saquon walk? That was one of the worst decisions in history.
I don't want to get into that because
and he went to a Super Bowl contender, and what did they do? They won a Super Bowl.
I don't think the Eagles grabbing Saquon was the problem. I think the Giants drafting him was the problem.
Yeah, but your point is, if you're a Super Bowl team, you shouldn't have to pay a running back that much because you can replace him. But if you have a player like Saquon or Jahmyr,
would they feel like Saquon was the last piece?
But you already have that piece in Detroit. You don't need to get your running back. You have him. Why just let him walk for nothing?
Well, I mean, we're getting into the letter.
Now you have to go find that, and then it ends up being where we got a team built. Hey, what is our last piece? We need our Saquon. Oh, we just had him. What happened? Oh, we just let him walk.
I mean,
it's sick, dude. You already had him in the building, and now you're trying to be like, we need to go get another one. What are we doing?
If you think that Jahmyr Gibbs is that missing piece, extend him.
I would instantly.
Okay, that's fine.
He should
be. That's okay.
You don't let a Jahmyr Gibbs walk, man. He's a top 20 player.
No. I'm not saying you do. I'm just if you think he's the missing piece, like if you don't have him, you can't win, and if you do have him, you can win. Then sign him. I'm not saying that, but
fair enough.
It's just it comes down to just the money. It's like someone's gonna have to leave. It's like who is it? You know what I mean? Who's gonna be the guy? Who's gonna be the other one out? See you later, Brian Branch. Right? See you later, Brian Branch.
No, you can find a way. I think there's other guys you move on from, but Jahmyr you do not move on from.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm just saying. JT Olsen says Gibbs is the Lions Alvin Kamara. Well, I mean, Alvin.
Bro, you do not move on from Jahmyr Gibbs. If they moved on from Jahmyr Gibbs, I might crash out.
All right, that's a perfectly understandable situation. All right, Boone, time to go around the horn with Boone. All right, we got training camp coming up here with the Lions. You wanted to bring some stuff up for me and the people. What do you got?
Yeah, I around the horn with Boone. How good is that? Huh? That sounds fun. It's like the around the horn. Didn't around the horn just get canceled?
Yeah, I think so. Actually,
tough. We'll take it over then. Good thing we own Crunch Time, so they can't cancel me. Well, I guess, no. All right, let's do this. So what I did is shout out the doc, him and his people over at SI. I actually saw they did an article, and it was training camp battles to look out for heading into the 2025 training camp, which is less than 10 days away. Rookies report, I think next Wednesday or Thursday on the 16th, the rookies report. So they did kind of a training camp battle thing to look out for. And Jeff, I said, you know what? I'm going to do a Detroit Lions training camp battle around the horn. So I have wrote down here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different options. And I want to get your opinion on the battle, who you think wins the battle, who do you think's in the battle, and kind of your just initial thoughts on the battle here. It was originally, I was thinking around the horn where it was going to be me, you, Klotz, and we were all going to give our opinions. And then I get to decide who's the winning vote. And I basically decide the winner on my own.
That's a great concept, though. I like that a lot.
But, and maybe we could do that. Maybe we can one of these once we get going with this, we could do a round of horn
making the final roster thing.
Yeah, and we could do that. So and we all get points and stuff for it. So I like the around the horn style. But the first position battle here, really just training camp battle, not even position battles, but training camp battles is Jeff Iafrate. On the offensive side of the ball, it is the offensive guards with all of these guys, Graham Glasgow, Tate Ratledge, Christian Mahogany, Miles Frazier, a bunch of guys. What do you think about this position battle heading into camp next week, Jeff Iafrate?
I'm actually excited for it. I think it's one of the more popular position battles, I think, on the entire roster. I think guard specifically, because of the guys you have, right? You already know Tate Ratledge is going to make the roster. Miles Frazier going to make the roster, and guess unless anything crazy happens. So those two, I'm excited to see. I think the big one for me is Tristan Colon. I want to see how that kind of pans out because I based on his experience, I think he could be someone that they really want to bring into the season because he could play center. But I think the one that I'm really watching, is Colby Sorsdahl. I think Colby Sorsdahl is the one where I think that man, yeah.
That's on me. I try to do a nice ding-ding, around the horn.
Leave it. You just, I'll do this. Here, I'll do it again because I absolutely believe it's right. Bing. Because Colby Sorsdahl is the one that I think could be the man left out. Okay? That's how I'm looking at it. But I see it going starters. Going into training camp, by the end of it, we'll talk about it. It's going to be no question in my mind. Penei Sewell, Tate Ratledge, Graham Glasgow, Christian Mahogany, and Taylor Decker. There's not even a debate, I think.
Okay, who'd you have at center? Because the next question I had was center.
I have Graham at center just because of his experience. But would I be shocked if they give Tate the reins earlier? I wouldn't. I just think they're going to lean towards the vet early on. So that's
okay.
the problem.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I probably, honestly, I think what's going to happen, I think Tate's going to be the center. I think Graham's going to be right and Christian Mahogany left. That's where I think this ends up going. I think it's going to be the most, I think you're right. It's the most intriguing positional battle going into to camp. I think there's one other one, in my opinion, that is going to heat up that people aren't talking about much, but I think that offensive line, it's because it's like the heart and soul of your team. And you have 3 positions that are essentially wide open, which is not ideal, especially for this offense. Next training camp battle that I want to get your opinion and thoughts on.
Okay.
Alex Anzalone versus the Detroit Lions.
Oh, wow. Okay. So how do I think it's going to go? I guess I don't know.
Thoughts and then how you think it's going to end.
Okay. So thoughts. I don't know. If I'm being honest, I don't know how it's going to go when it comes to thoughts, because I know one thing: they have to find a way to figure this. They have to find a way to keep him. I know that for a fact. The thing I don't know, though, is if I think I don't know Alex. I like to think I know his character. I would like to think he's there as a pro. I think he'll be there. But I don't even know if that's the case. Like, I don't know if he's going to be like, oh, you guys are still fucking with me? All right, I'm not playing then. And then now it's like, we got to pay this man. That's where I don't know. I don't know if he'll be there. I'd like to think he'll be a pro and be there. I don't know for certain, but what do I think ends up happening? I think they do give him an extension. I do. So I think they pay him. I think it works out. I just don't. I think he's going to put pressure on him, and I don't know if he'll do it. It's ballsy, but I don't know if he's like, hey man, I'm not reporting to training camp till we get this contract. I don't know if that's going to be a thing. That's right.
I'll tell you what, it would be such a big loss and just I would say like a bad look on the Detroit Lions front office. And I love Brad, you know that. But if you end up not having Alex Anzalone at training camp, like some deal, and I think the reason that, and I don't want to take any shots at other players. I love it. I think all these guys are great dudes. The bad look about it isn't just the fact you're not paying Alex Anzalone. I think it's the fact that Derek Barnes got an extension and you didn't get your green dot an extension, and he's at home during camp if he decides not to show up. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that's where I see with Klotz.
It's just how it looks.
I don't know. Klotz's thing was more so upgrading Derek Barnes, so it's a little different. But I think it can all come together to where you're like, why doesn't Alex Anzalone get that money? Who's been your green dot the last few years, right? Like that's the one to where for me, it's like this could have easily been done. You could work something out with D Barnes, maybe try to do a deal with D Barnes, maybe a couple less year. I don't know, but to me, you don't. And Nick P said Barnes is 26, Alex is over 30. Alex is still playing his best ball of his career, so you just don't. He's your green dot at the end of the day. I know Jack Campbell, in my opinion, is better. Just because of his skill set and what he can do. And I think he's only going to keep getting better, but you know what Anzo is, man. And that's like kind of the heart of your defense right there. That calls everything out. And you need to get that deal done. And he needs to be you need to make sure he's at camp at the end of the day. You need to pay him his money. You need to figure it out.
That's the one. I think, honestly, scratch what I said about the O-line. I think that's the biggest storyline.
I think, outside of positional battles, I think the Anzo situation is a very big deal right now. And the fact that they just haven't paid him yet, to me, is like very shocking. And it's just going to look back at the front office, and you're going to look back and be like, that was just a bad move on them, not putting that money towards D Barnes over Anzo. And I love D Barnes, man. I think he's going to be very good for this team. But you know what Anzo is. He's your green dot, man. All right, next one here. Training camp battles. What are your thoughts here, Jeff, on the quarterback 2 battle? Let's hear it. Really putting you in a couple positions here, setting you up.
Here we go again. I mean, we're back at this QB2 fucking battle. Every single year I get asked this. And last year, I told the people, very simply put, I said, Hendon Hooker's going to win it. Okay? He's going to win it because they don't have a good enough backup that I think will challenge Hendon Hooker. Not that I think Hendon is this world beater, but I don't think Kyle Allen is certainly a world beater. So what do I think happens? I think Kyle, just like the Fromm stuff, just like I don't think Nate Sudfeld had anything, but you get my point. Just like the guys they bring in and compete, I think it's going to be a storyline. I think we're going to go to training camp. We will be there, by the way, probably most days. And we will see Kyle Allen zipping the ball, and oh, wow, Kyle Allen. And at the end of training camp, Hendon Hooker will be your backup. He's going to play in preseason, and we're going to move. So what do I think happens? Unless they sign, can I put a contingency? Can I put a contingency on it? Or I guess is that called a contingency? I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
If they don't bring in a respectable backup, obviously, if they bring in someone or trade for someone, I'm like, oh shit, like this guy might, he's gonna beat out Hendon Hooker. As of right now with Kyle Allen, all due respect to Kyle Allen, Hendon Hooker's winning the job.
I think I'll say this is my bold take. I think there's someone that's not even on the roster right now that ends up being QB2 for the 2025 season.
And that could
Whether
happen.
they trade or pick up a free agent. Or,
Bryce Perkins, people are talking about. I don't know. Bryce Perkins.
I just think whoever QB2 isn't on the roster right now. I don't know if the fact that you're in year 3 and there's no like solidified like, hey, it's Hendon Hooker, that's a big worry to me. You need to, if you're in year 3, man, especially if you're already played 4 full years in college, you there should be no question about it. Like you should be QB2. The fact there's even a battle, in my opinion, shows a lot.
I can't wait for that one.
I got 2 left here. First one, the cornerback 3/4 position. You have Amik Robertson, you have Ennis Rakestraw, Rock Ya-Sin, Avonte Maddox, who's probably going to play safety. You kind of have a crew there. And I know Amik started last year, but he's coming off a broken arm. I don't know how much that'll affect him. I still think Amik's going to be really good. I think with Ennis Rakestraw, though, I think that's going to – this is the one that I said I think people aren't talking about enough. If Ennis Rakestraw is healthy, Jeff, you turn into a situation, I think he's good enough in this corner room to win a starting job. Then you get into a spot to where, okay, now you have a real battle going on here. And I don't think it's one of those battles to where it's like, we know who's winning it. I think Ennis could give anyone a run for their money. If the big is if healthy, I'm interested. I think this is going to be one of the bigger ones of preseason here.
That's what I think. I think Ennis has potential. There is a chance he, like a shift guy just put, shocks us all.
That's my thought.
But you know what I know is going to happen? He's not going to beat out Taron Arnold. He's not going to beat out DJ Reed. He's not going to beat out Amik. So do I think he comes in and maybe later in the season, injury comes in, he steps up and plays well? I just think he needs more time. He missed so much of his rookie year. I think there's still, even though he's been working, you don't think Taron Arnold's working? You don't think DJ Reed's working? You don't think Amik Robertson's working? And they had all last year to play. So I as much as I'm excited, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be one of those things where it's like come training camp, like we're a couple days in, we're like, wow, Ennis looks like the better corner of Taron Arnold. Like, I don't think so.
To be fair, last training camp, that was the conversation with Ennis Rakestraw. Everyone was like, this guy's playing great at training camp.
Well, so is Darius Fountain. So is DPJ. I mean,
but that's my thing. But the thing is like, But those guys are come on now.
Actually,
those guys like Darius Fountain wasn't a second round draft pick. Like this guy has the talent. Like
Yeah.
you know that his ceiling's very high. And you know last year in training camp that he was working. And the only thing that held him back last year was essentially just injury. So if he's healthy and competes, he's your second round pick. Like you expect those guys to play.
Yes, I do. I just think the situation he's in, I don't think he'll beat those guys out. Doesn't mean he won't be good or he's not good or anything. It's just, I just think those guys have an advantage. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree. I think right now going in, 1, 2, 3, who they are. But that was my point is I think this is a battle.
He'll be the only one.
I think this is a battle where people are overlooking a little bit, forget about Ennis. And then all of a sudden training camp, there's going to be there's going to be a lot of reports and we're going to be out there. We're going to be Ennis Rakestraw making a play, interception, Ennis Rakestraw. You're going to be like, what's going on? Look back at this moment. I'm letting the people know now. Last one here before I think we'll do some Tigers talk, Jeff, here after this.
Yeah, let's do it.
Last one here. This is an interesting one. I think the back end of this wide receiver room. Isaac Tesla.
Yep.
Khalif Raymond.
Yep.
Tim Patrick. How is that rotation going to end up working? I think there's a battle in there with Tesla to prove that he wants to get the snaps. I know he's a rookie. I know they're and John Morton said it with rookies. Hey, we're going to give him simple routes. We're not going to put too much on him, but I know that. If the kid can play, the kid can play. I think it's a battle that's going to have a magnifying glass on it, especially the fact that they got him in the draft where they did and kind of traded up so far for him. I think there's going to be a magnifying glass just on Isaac Tesla, the whole camp, to see if he's like how good he actually is.
Yeah, he's his own storyline. I'm excited for him. I really am. I think do I think he'll make plays? Yes, because I think he's talented. I think you're going to see him make plays with the second team, and you'll see plays out there. We saw that last year, but he'll be on a different level because of how talented he is. I think it'll be a competition between him and Tim Patrick. I think Tim will edge him out, but I wouldn't be shocked, man. It's kind of like the Ennis thing where it's like, come the season, as he only gets better, you might have to have a serious conversation there. I don't think it's going to be as crazy earlier on. I just think Tim Patrick will get the spot because he does so many little things really well, and he's already been in the offense. But I think as time goes on, I think it'll be more of a conversation. So, yeah, I don't hate that take by you. I think that's a fair take.
All right. That's it for that is it for Around the Horn with Booner. Next week we'll be back.
I think the other part of that too is Khalif Raymond kind of thing. He's kind of just in there as depth. I don't know how he gets involved, but Dominic Lovett, another one sneaky. What happens with him? Can he
does he make the team? That's that's the big one.
That's the other one to kind of think about. I saw this too real quick. Ben Blue says if that means TA is in trouble if Ennis gets him. Which means we had a hole at cornerback again. Do you agree with that?
No, because if it's weird logic, but if Ennis ends up taking that spot, you're like there's no hole because Ennis just took the job, right? But then at the same time, I don't think we actually had this conversation, Jeff. Like, I don't think if Ennis ends up being really good, that it means TA's falling off. I just think there's that situation to where they actually brought it up in one of the press conferences, and the media, someone in the media did. Asking about, hey, if one of those guys could move to nickel, like, because remember they had the conversation, Jeff, that Ennis no longer is playing nickel, and Dan said that he wants to keep him outside full time, and he doesn't want to switch all of that around. The fact with that is, if Ennis gets one of those jobs, you're probably looking at DJ Reed or Terrion to go to nickel, and then Amik. Like, that's where I think the odd guy out ends up being Amik, even though I think Amik is that good. It's just if Ennis ends up reaching his ceiling and the potential, then you get into a spot to where now you really just have to rotate this room and figure this thing out.
Hey, speaking of potential, by the way, Casey Mize, that's
this Tigers team. He got snubbed from the All-Star team too. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did. I mean, the thing I find crazy, I mean, the Tigers are still have the best record in baseball. I mean, they're still holding on right now. So I mean, the Tigers keep finding ways to win games. But the crazy part of what the Tigers are doing is, I think I could say this word, complementary baseball. That's what they're doing right now. Their run differential,
it's crazy.
They're second best in the league behind the Cubs, which is kind of crazy. I mean, the Cubs are pretty good this year, 7-3 the last 10, but plus 110 run differential for the Tigers. And then you see Tarek Skubal this past weekend come out and just set the tone immediately. And then you see Casey Mize play very well. And then you're seeing guys like Javi Baez continue to do what he did today. And then you see Zach McKinstry, which you're bringing up the robbery stuff.
I'm shocked, to be honest, that the Tigers didn't get more guys.
I'm shocked too. The best team in baseball.
4 players, only 4 players.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, you see that graphic with the which is kind of crazy to think about, the payroll difference. Have you see that graphic yet?
No, but I'm sure with the Dodgers and the Yankees, I'm sure the payroll is just night and day different.
Yeah, but they had a graphic they posted. I'm going to find it for you. I
mean, I think
it's crazy. Oh, right here. Hold on. Let me see this. Oh, here it is. Yeah, this graphic I saw. I think it's Clutch Points who posted it. Look at this. Same. This is they're at like 50.
Wow.
They're at 58, but this was at the time. They were both at 51 wins.
That's nuts.
Million for the Dodgers, 144 million for the Tigers.
That's crazy, actually.
Dude,
that's like more than double. That's
double. Yeah, more than double. Like, honestly, like by a pretty good amount.
What's crazy? I think there's this world in baseball where, like, and maybe it's like this in every sport. Because you would consider Detroit, like, when it comes to baseball, because I mean, you look at the money there; it's a smaller market. Like they're not paying
they're not
that much money.
New York, stuff like
when you look at like these All-Star games, you saw what the fan base did, right? And put 3 guys in essentially with Javi, Riley Green, and who am I missing here? Oh, and Gleyber Torres.
Mm-hmm.
The fans did that, right? That's fan voting. The fact that when the alternates come out, that the Tigers didn't get anyone, and yes, they got Scooble. That fine, yeah, in pitching. The fact they didn't get anyone else in any field position, like that's what's crazy to me. Like Dylan Dingler, I was saying to my cousin, like the fact Dylan Dingler isn't in there. I mean, a lot of people are saying Zach McKinstry in the chat here. You can make a bet with like, or an argument for Will Vest. There's just so many guys on this team, Spencer Torkelson, that you could have a legit argument. Like, how did they not get in? Legit. And it's like, I think it comes down to like the respect around the league for this team. And the fact that you're the number one team in baseball, the number one team in the AL, and your peers didn't put any of those guys in, that to me feels like disrespectful. I don't know, dude. Like, imagine if the Pistons were the number one team in the East. The fans voted in Cade Cunningham, and you had like another all-star putting up like 25 points a game, like a Jane Ivey. In the NBA, the players or whoever votes, coaches, whatever it is, just leave them out. You're like, dude, what is the fact that they didn't get anyone outside of those four guys is it's like disrespectful in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. I think, I mentioned the payroll thing. I mean, the crazy thing, and I want to show you this graphic too, because it's a little more, it's better, I guess, looking at payrolls. Because this is playoff teams, payrolls. Look at this. All right. Playoff team payrolls among playoff rankings among playoff teams. You have the Mets, the Yankees, the Astros, Phillies, Dodgers. So you look at New York, Houston,
Philly, LA,
Atlanta, like all these bigger cities. And then you go down to other playoff teams. 26, Detroit Tigers.
That's crazy. That's
behind the Cleveland Guardians.
The dead last out of playoff teams.
Yeah,
they're the last team out of the playoff teams.
They are. Yep, 26. Yep. At highest payrolls to miss the postseason: Cubs, Rangers, Blue Jays, Giants.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like you're not even paying guys yet, and you're the best team in baseball. But the fact that it's just crazy that you have so many of these young guys, Zach McKinstry and Torque, who you could just sit there. Casey Mize too. Like the fact Casey Mize didn't get in is ridiculous as well. Like I was telling my cousin, he's like, dude, the guys had under a 3 ERA this year. There are guys who I bet you are playing in the All-Star game who are over a 3 ERA.
Yeah.
And Casey Mize sitting there just dealing every night and it just nothing. Just because he missed a little bit of a stint to where he got put down because he had an injury and that was it. Like, what are we doing here? That's where like the voting, it needs to be a change. I don't know. A lot of people. What is it?
Hey, guys are moving up, man.
McGonigal,
Meadows,
Clark.
Sweeney, Vierling gonna get spelled by McGonigal, Clark,
Parker Meadows. Come on now, they'll find a way for all these guys to get in.
McGonigal. Hey, Caleb actually joined the show and was like, "You guys been checking out McGonigal?" And we're like, "What?" He's like, "The guy's batting like 500."
I think he's number one. I think he's the number one prospect in baseball right now.
Like, I'm like, oh no, I'm not familiar with McGonigal. He's like, dude, you better lock into McGonigal. And in the next week, we just posted a reel, and he's just freaking out about it. So Caleb, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying the guy was like first to him, but he definitely was first to tell us, kind of give us the breakdown there. But they do have guys that are going to be really good players. I mean, they have that 18-year-old from like the Dominican Republic.
He's so far out.
But still, like that.
Probably like 6 years till that.
But still, like they're stocking up guys, and these guys are moving up. McGonigal, Max Clark.
I mean, they just the team. The thing is, it's like it's just crazy because, and AJ Hinch too. Like someone needs to get this guy. He needs to win like Coach of the Year or Manager of the Year.
No doubt.
He does. He's been so good for this organization over the last two or three seasons. It's unbelievable. Him and Scott Harris. But
he is overcompensating. I don't know if that's the right word. He's finding ways to overachieve for sure. Like
his game plans. He's just so good.
They're very deep. But the job AJ Hinch is doing with being the 26th ranked payroll among playoff teams, in having the Dodgers have over double they're paying over double what the Tigers are, and they're where they're at. It's fucking incredible.
I'm interested to see over the next couple
incredible.
months.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if they make a trade to like really take this team to the next level. I am.
Yeah,
I cannot wait. I'm pumped up to see what they do.
Another one, Chris Fetter, by the way. That dude, what
he came back last year. I think he had a chance to leave, and he came back.
Yeah, they're doing some special things.
This is the stat. MLB tweeted this out an hour ago. Tigers won 5-1 tonight versus Tampa Bay. Tigers are 24 games over 500 for the first time since 2013.
Well,
first time.
We got over 2 weeks. I think it's 3 weeks actually. Oh, 3 weeks and 3 days. I don't know. Maybe I just fucked that up. Yeah, 3 days till the MLB trade deadline.
Javi again, home run tonight.
So trade deadline's at the end of the month. That is going to be
makes the moves. I think you make 2 trades. Get yourself another big time bat, third baseman, someone who can just really rake, and then get yourself another pitcher, someone in that bullpen. And I think you're good to go. And I think you make a World Series run. I really do.
They're right there, man.
Can you think about this, Jeff? When you guys tell me, like when we were talking about the World Series or bust a month ago, and you guys are like, well, there's still all these other teams. Like, think about last year, how AJ Hinch managed that team to win a playoff series.
Yeah, it was incredible.
This team's that much better. Like, this team is the best team in baseball. Last year, you had a 2% chance, 1% chance of making the playoffs. And he somehow managed them and was able to get them to a spot to win playoff games. Think about what he's going to do with this current roster and if they add to it.
Oh,
they're going to have a chance to win a World Series. I don't care if you play the Dodgers, the Yankees, whoever it is. In a 7-game series, AJ Hinch managing and the roster, the way these guys play now, like even when you're like, oh, this guy's Javi's about to go into a slump. Riley Green's going into a slump. Torque's going into a slump. Guys, they just keep winning. Go into a slump. I dare you. They're going to still find a way to win. Hey, that's what's ridiculous about this team right now. Like, go into a slump. We're still going to win.
Let AJ Hinch win. Let this man get a World Series, accomplish it without question marks. You know, like the guy, when he had talent, they won the World Series. There just happened to be one of the biggest scandals.
Come on now. Stop. Let's not do this.
That's the unfortunate part of that. But there's no question that if he has talent and you're willing to spend money and get him more talent, he can make it work. So I
think they're going to be fine, man.
Got to get busy. Got to get busy for the trade deadline.
Zach McKinstry hit another home run today.
Yeah, that guy's
Dylan Dingler got another hit. I mean, these guys, it's just unbelievable. Montero too. Ketel Montero, he only had 4 hits. Gave up 4 hits today.
Montero,
6 innings.
Yeah,
Montero.
I saw Caleb tweeting about him too. He was fucking dialed.
Yeah, because he got sent down and they pulled him back up, and he had a good day.
Ben Blue says mailbag. It's 4th and 11. The opposing team is at your 20-yard line. 10 seconds left in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. Who you taking to get the sack to finish the game? Tyleek Williams or Javon Kinlaw? Oh, here we go. This Javon Kinlaw shit, dude. I listen.
Is this like going around Twitter right now?
So it's 4th and 11. No, it's Klotz was glazing them. So it's this whole thing now in the chat where they bring up Javon Kinlaw. So the opposing team is at your 20-yard line. Okay, let's match this. 4th and 11. 20-yard line. 10 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Who are you taking to get the sack?
I'm going to let you go.
I'm going to go with the athleticism. I'm going to go with Tyleek. I'm going to go with the athleticism. I need a man to chase. If you got to
give me Tyleek.
Yeah, you got to chase him down.
Hutch is probably getting it anyways. I look back at that, like Hutch and just big moments. Like think about the Rams sending the Rams to the overtime, sacking Matthew Stafford, sacking Justin Fields or strip sack at the end to win the game. It feels like every time you needed a stop on 3rd and long or 4th down in a big game to win a game, it feels like Hutch like stepped up every time.
Yeah, he did. He's
crazy.
Great players though, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
By the way, Randall, mailbag, if you get a third baseman via trade, who loses playing time? Well,
I would say I'm looking like let's look at tonight's lineup. Hobby's at third. Trey Sweeney at shortstop. Probably
Might have to. I mean, what?
you get Trey Sweeney out of there. I don't know
Yeah, I mean they.
if I'm missing anyone, but
That's tough.
if you
You're
get Alex,
probably right.
if you get one of those guys, you make it work. Hobby's a guy that moves around. I mean, he can play anywhere. So
Yeah, he's playing so
you
well.
you
right
you throw you throw Hobby around anywhere, and then you're good to go.
Freddie fell through on 3 mailbag. Is Booner bringing the Kool-Aid pitcher to Canton?
Probably won't be. That would be maybe. Who knows? We got to do our streams, Freddie. So unless there's a place for us to do a stream at a bar or something in Canton, probably will be somewhere in Detroit doing a stream. And I don't know if I don't do really Kool-Aid chugs. I guess that's a pretty big Hall of Fame game. I'm not going to do a Kool-Aid chug if they win the Hall of Fame game. I'll have it.
Yeah, you just
shout
save
out
it.
Freddie too. What a legend.
You save it for the wins. That's why they're there. You don't want to just because they tell you to shake it doesn't mean you're shaking it. All right, you wait for the moments and you use the Kool-Aid. That's your special.
Yeah, I really need to figure out something. I was been thinking about this the last couple weeks. I need to figure out something to spice up the Kool-Aid chugs a little bit. I need to figure something out. The three straight. I would say 3 straight years of just chugging it. Like I'm gonna keep doing it, but it's got to improve. Like I don't know if anyone has ideas. Reach out to me, but there has to be improvement. What I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna reach out to some Lions guys. Maybe I'll get some of them involved. Get Hogan. Maybe Hogan will. Maybe I don't know. We'll figure something out. But I gotta spice it up a little bit.
ETN mailbag. Which teams that missed the playoffs last year are which teams that missed the playoffs last year are most likely to make it this year? 49ers, easy.
Yeah, 49ers will make the playoff. They're going to win their division.
Easy.
They'll win that division. Sorry,
you
ETN,
want
by the way.
Like a sleeper one?
I mean, you can use your Panthers that you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I did say that. I'm trying to think of something else, but yeah.
The Bengals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Bengals is a good one.
AG's Burner mailbag, Red Wings free agency thoughts. Well, kind of
they haven't done anything.
Yeah, there's not really. I mean, they added goaltending. I know like the boys talked about that on Saturday as well. Mike kind of went into that. They have a number 1 now. We'll see what happens with the call. So I hope he comes up and I mean, the guy's fucking massive and he's got a ton of talent. It's just that's the thing with hockey, man. It just takes time. So
who's that?
If Kosa can,
yeah,
if like this year, I mean, shit, man. I mean, he doesn't have as much pressure on him because they have a number 1 goalie. But besides that, they've made like miniature moves. They've added some depth, but it hasn't been anything significant. I think the biggest thing is re-signing Patrick Kane, but they haven't done anything yet to where you're sitting there going, wow, the Red Wings are serious right now. So there's still time. I mean, I got to wait till closer to the season to really be like, what did they do this offseason? Because Stevie Y could be still working, but there's a shit ton of pressure on him, man. So he has really no
to be honest, I would say it's so disappointing, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, like so far.
Like if Steve Eisman really thinks going like what he's done so far this offseason going into next year is going to take them to the playoffs, it's he's stuck in bizarro world. Like bizarre, like what are we doing? Like legit. If he ends up going into next year with a similar team and just adding a couple small pieces, adding another goalie, there is a point. I get it. Like I completely understand for Steve coming out and telling people like, hey, be patient. We do have a lot of young guys coming up. I understand that. There is a expiration date, in my opinion, on that excuse. Like there is at the end of the day. And I think you're past that point. If you don't make the playoffs this year, I'll be the first. Someone's probably already said it, but Steve, you got to move on. You do. You have to get someone in this building who has the thought process of like, we need to get to a Stanley Cup playoff again. Like we need to. And if it just keeps taking this time, you just cannot. It's insanity, man. Like you're just doing that same thing over and over and over and over. It's because there's been no big moves that have been made. And this is supposed to be that offseason where you're like, okay, make a move. I did hear something. I cannot remember who it was from. It might have been the Heavies with Spenny. It might have been, I cannot remember who I heard it from. And it might have been someone we had on the show. I cannot remember. But the thing I heard, like Steve, when it comes to negotiations, like he's like hard headed. People don't like to negotiate with him around the NHL. Players don't want to negotiate with him.
I don't deny
Other
that.
GMs don't mess with him. And they're like, I guess Steve, and it might have been the doc. I can't remember. I think it was the doc maybe mentioned it. And he's just like, players and agents, he calls them and tells them the number and hangs up. And he's like, this is my number. You either do it or don't. And like, dude, you have to be able to make deals. The fact that they just have not brought anyone else besides Patrick Kane in, an old Patrick Kane, to help this team over the last few years, it's just, it's genuinely mind-boggling. It really is. So I think this year, I think this is the last go around. If you don't make the playoffs, I think it's the end of that story. And we all love Stevie Y here, man, the captain. We all love him, but dude, there's an expectation. In my opinion, there's an expectation in Detroit, and for the last 15 years, it's just you have not lived up to it. Like, and it's the most disappointing thing because it's hockey town, and there's just been. I mean, I'm not talking about just like going to win a stand. I'm talking about just making the playoffs.
The minimum. Yeah, no, literally the minimum. Make the playoffs. That's it.
You see Rando there with Maz. Maz was in the home plate club tonight. I saw it on Twitter.
I love that. Shout out Maz, man.
I did. I shot Maz a text tonight. I was like, I got to talk to Maz, man. He's an absolute legend.
Love that.
He is one of my favorite humans in the world, dude. He's one of the greatest.
Yeah, he is. He is. Appreciate you all. Hey, had a good show today. I thought, even with the offseason, I thought it was a fun show. I appreciate you all tuning in as always. Don't forget, man, tell a friend. I keep this thing pushing. We just hit 14,000 subscribers, which is massive. And before we go, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our sponsor. All right. That's the biggest thing we have to do right now before we end the show. So allow me to tell you about the sponsor of today's show. All right. Before we forget this. All right. Let me tell you, because Comer and Cross, yes, Comer and Cross, the best sponsor. One-day installation, concrete floor, coatings, garages, basements, everything. They do it. And I'm sure, I know for a fact, all the homeowners out there, there are some of you that are tired of staring at your crack-stained garage floor, or even worse, peeling epoxy or chipping paint that makes your whole garage look neglected. Right now, Coleman Cross has their summer installation sale. They're offering 12 months, same as cash, or $500 in savings. Call the number, 248-834-3488. They transform patios, pool decks, basements, even driveways, and they will move the stuff out for you. I mean, it's too obvious. All right, so call the number, 248-834-3488. or book your free estimate at comercross.com and tell them your friends over at Crunch Time Sports sent you. But until tomorrow, we will be back 8 p.m. Much love to you all. Peace.